Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026, and the board meeting is now called to order. All board directors are present with the exception of Director Shandagiri. He will be absent this evening. It is currently 6:01 p.m. At this time, Student Advisor Woods, will you please read the land acknowledgement?
We are gathered today on the land of the Kalapuya, who are represented by the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. The relationship between the Kalapuya people and this land continues unbroken to this day, and we offer gratitude for the land and for the generations present and past who have stewarded the land since time immemorial. We respectfully acknowledge and honor past, present, and future Native American and Indigenous students and staff of Salem-Keizer Public Schools. We invite you to join us in honoring these ancestral grounds and celebrating the resilience and strength of all Native American and Indigenous people.
Thank you. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Superintendent Castaneda, are there any modifications to the agenda?
There are none.
At this time, I'll turn this portion of the agenda over to you.
Thank you. It is wonderful to have this full audience because it means we'll have a large audience for Spotlight, always one of our favorites. So first, a little bit of orientation. We're going to do 3 spotlights, and then afterwards we'll meet up at the backdrop for photos. And so our first spotlight is going to be introduced by Ingrid Ceballos, who is somewhere in there.
She's there.
Ah, there she is, exactly. And she is our director. She is one of our elementary level directors. And I will turn it over to Ingrid.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castañeda, and student advisors. It is truly my honor to honor Janet Mager tonight. I have the pleasure of recognizing a very generous individual who is committed to helping staff feel appreciated in all of our schools. Janet is a community member who has recently crafted and donated more than 600 lavender relaxation pillows to every elementary teacher in our district. Her goal is to provide pillows to every teacher in all middle and high schools this year. And I just recently learned that all pillows are complete. She's just waiting to bring them over. Janet understands the hard work of teachers and the importance of taking care of personal well-being. To show up for students, it is important for educators to find ways to be mindful of their own wellness. Janet's lavender relaxation pillows support calming practices and promote mental health. Through this work, Janet also hopes to inspire confidence in others, encouraging everyone to trust their abilities because everyone makes a difference. Thank you, Janet, for this wonderful gift to our educators. The scale of this project and the care behind every pillow shows a thoughtful commitment to supporting those who serve our students every day. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. And as you make your way back to your seat, I will say that one of the pillows did make its way into my possession, and it's flannel and it's yellow. And every morning I wake up, I put it on my eyes just for like 5 minutes. It's my wake-up routine. It is. Calming feature of my mental health. So thank you for that addition to my life. Okay, I'd like to move on to our staff spotlight, and I will be asking Amanda Burke to join us. There you are. Thank you, Amanda. Amanda is our Unified Program Associate and, in general, unified, all things unified, including key ally, advocate, cheerleader, everything.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. Tonight, it is our honor to recognize 2 extraordinary educators Brennan Young and Jessica Miller, who aren't just teaching within our district, they're fundamentally changing the culture of our school district. So Jessica Miller from North Salem High School and Brennan from South Salem are the driving forces behind our unified sports programs, creating an environment where students of all abilities compete, lead, and belong. Brennan brought the unified vision to Salem-Keizer in 2018. What started as a small PE class has exploded into a district-wide culture. He founded the Saxon Cup, a fall soccer tournament, which introduces elementary students to unified sports, regardless of whether their home school has a program yet. He has also secured vital community partnerships with organizations like Corver Soccer Coaching and Hoopla to ensure that our students have world-class experiences.
At North Salem High School, Jessica Miller has worked tirelessly to expand unified offerings across all departments. Under her leadership, North was awarded the prestigious ESPN Honor Roll for inclusive sports. She hosts the Viking Games, a K-12 track and field event that prioritizes participation and accessibility over just speed, ensuring every student has a place on the starting line. It's no coincidence that North is now a two-time state record holder for the unified track and field.
Together, Jessica and Brennan recently collaborated on a proposal to the OSAA to change the format of the unified events at the state track meet. This proposal was accepted last week. They are advocating for even greater student inclusion, and we're proud to say that their proposal was accepted, which brings the number of participants in the unified events at the state meet up from a total of 48 across the state to 112 students, and it tripled the number of schools who can qualify. They're leading the work for all beyond just our school district, and their impact has now reached a global scale. They've been collaborating with Nike, and Nike's recently launched a worldwide coach developer project in partnership with Special Olympics. So out of 10 coaches selected globally, joining leaders from Tokyo, Johannesburg, and Berlin, both Brennan and Jessica were chosen to represent the United States. We're not done. It's really cool. They're certified Nike coach developers for Unified specifically. So after a week of intensive training at the Nike European headquarters, they're now certified to train other coaches across the world. And Brennan has also been working on a nationwide project. He scripted the partner training that's used for all of Special Olympics North America. It's filmed right here in Salem-Keizer. We are incredibly fortunate to have these two world-class leaders choose to call Salem-Keizer home. They recently had the opportunity to share their expertise. They co-presented professional development last week to 55 of our own unified leads across the district K-12. So Jessica and Brennan, thank you for your relentless advocacy, your hearts for our students, and showing the world that inclusion has no limits. Congratulations.
As Amanda makes her way back to the seat, I want to just quickly share something. So I had an opportunity to write a letter of reference for Brennan for State Teacher of the Year, which whether or not they give it to Brennan, we all know he actually is the State Teacher of the Year. But I want to read a paragraph because it is not just about Brennan. It is actually about Unified, and it is about Amanda, and it is about Jessica, and so many people. I do not exaggerate in saying that thousands of Salem-Keizer students have been impacted by Unified programming. Unified is spread through the elementary, middle, and high schools, and you have not experienced joy until you have watched the Unified Basketball Assembly, where teams of students play in front of hundreds of cheering high school students. And you have not experienced excitement until you've seen that one hard-earned basket and the entire crowd go wild as if it were a state championship. So, Amanda, this is a little bit of a spontaneous staff spotlight for you too, because this is so much of your work, but I do just want to extend so much gratitude to all three of you and to the many more people who make Unified possible. Okay, and finally, I would like to introduce Laura Tiffin. Laura will be bringing our student spotlights.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, Board Directors, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. Tonight, we are proud to recognize our winter sports athletes and programs across Salem-Keizer. These student athletes represent not only their individual talents, but the dedication and teamwork of their entire programs. We begin with Sprague High School girls basketball. This year's team made tremendous strides in building a strong team culture, increasing participation, and elevating school spirit. Their hard work led them to a third-place finish in the district and a competitive playoff run against a top-ranked team in the state. Representing the team tonight is Carly Skogstad, a four-year starter, and I would say a four-year force in our conference, whose leadership reflects the commitment and growth of the entire program. Also from Sprague High School, boys wrestling demonstrated perseverance through a challenging season filled with injuries and one of the toughest schedules in the state. The team earned a second-place finish at the conference tournament. Representing the team is Judah Parr, a district champion and fifth-place state finisher. This program also exemplifies excellence in the classroom, with many athletes maintaining GPAs of 3.5 or higher. From West Salem High School, we recognize both swim teams. The girls team captured the CVC League title and went on to an impressive sixth-place finish at the state meet. Abby Evans won numerous district titles over her 4 years of swimming for West and was also a four-year state qualifier. Representing the boys team is Jared Coy, a state champion in the 100 butterfly, Salem's first boys state champion in years. We also recognize Coach Dan Evans, who is named CVC Coach of the Year, reflecting the strength and success of the entire program. At South Salem High School, the cheer program experienced a remarkable season of renewal and achievement, focused on rebuilding a foundation rooted in kindness, teamwork, and high expectations. The team quickly found success, earning the top team award at camp, an unprecedented accomplishment for the program. Their dedication to their core values led to a stunning turnaround from last year's last place finish to the school's first state championship title. Representing the program are Addison Enger, Emerson Bay, and Coach Michelle Demarest, who together symbolize the heart, resilience, and spirit of the entire team. From McKay High School, both the boys and girls wrestling teams demonstrated strength, growth, and competitive success. The boys team placed in the top half of the league in both duels and the district tournament, while the girls team competed strongly in their special district. Both the girls and the boys teams sent 4 wrestlers to the state tournament, and both teams had 2 state placers. Representing the teams tonight are Yair Suarez, a district champion and 5th place state finisher, and Jasmine Lopez Hernandez, a district runner-up and 4th place state finisher. And thank you to both of you for reflecting the collective effort and success of your teammates. North Salem High School Wrestling had an outstanding season, with the boys team capturing their first district title since 1980 and finishing the season by earning 5th place at the state level. Representing the team is Yondell Basham, a district champion and 3rd place state finisher. The girls team also had an outstanding season, earning 2nd place at districts and bringing home a 4th place team trophy at state. Both Madeline Littlejohn and Eileen Paniagua claimed state championships. Representing the team tonight is Madeline, who not only was our district champion, but dominated her bracket at state, pinning every single opponent on our way to the championship trophy. Congratulations to North Salem wrestling teams for your outstanding success this season. And finally, we recognize the McNary High School girls wrestling team for a truly historic season. Entering the state tournament with determination and unity, the team had a clear goal: bringing home a trophy. Every match and every point mattered as the girls secured that coveted hardware by earning the 3rd place trophy by a single point. the first state trophy in the history of the girls program, and the first state trophy for McNary wrestling since the 1970s. Representing the team are Marlena Martinez, who stood atop the state podium with a first place finish, and McKenna Unger, who took home second place, both exemplifying the hard work and dedication that led to the team's historic accomplishment. Tonight, we celebrate not only these outstanding individuals, but their teams, their coaches, their families, their communities who have supported them along the way. Each athlete tonight represents the collective effort, resilience, and pride of their programs. Congratulations to all of our winter sports teams on an incredible season.
Okay, we will meet up here for pictures.
We also had color wars assembly today. So I'm feeling extra school strength. I know.
They have several, like, permutations.
Yeah, so I'll.
You don't move, Cynthia.
Now we will move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair. My report will be brief tonight, and it has two very different tones. One is I want to talk a little bit about the staff reduction process that our schools have just recently gone through. We have some staff who are still going through that. We did, I think everyone knows, reduce our next year's budget by a proposed $23 million, and of that 23, about 14 involved staffing reductions at a district and a school level. And so I just want to say to our school teams, and especially the staff who are impacted, how sorry we are for the change in your lives, in your working conditions. For some of you, there's even still some continued uncertainty as you wait for job placements. I know that that makes a very anxious time. But I also want to say on behalf of our whole district that the good news is that in this entire process, however difficult it is, we were able to almost entirely avoid layoffs and largely avoid the kind of large-scale disruptions that we saw in the last round of reductions. And that is still good news inside of the hard news of making these painful reductions. The second thing I would like to talk about tonight, very different tone, is actually pie. So we had, actually I believe last week was our return of the very popular Pie Day in Salem-Keizer Public Schools. And if you don't know, what happens on Pie Day is that approximately 5,600 employees receive a free pie from the Willamette Pie Company, which imagined at that scale is actually quite an extraordinary thing that our community pulls together to do, because not only does everybody get a pie, they're batched up and there's a little note and they're delivered to every school site and district site. And so I want to first just acknowledge Jackie Frankie, who is one of the kind of originators of the Pie Day idea. It is rapidly on its way to being one of the most beloved and looked forward days in the year. But I also want to thank some of the other organizations that help make it possible. So Willamette Pie Company, MAPS Credit Union, United Way, Capital Auto Group, the Salem Leadership Foundation, Mountain West, Seabell, and Lake Point. These are all the community partners. They are volunteering, they're offering money, they're to help offset the costs, but just generally the purveyors of not just pie, but joy. So thank you to everyone who did that. And I will pass it back to the chair.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have a fiscal update, and it will be presented by Superintendent Castaneda and Chief Heidi Son.
Thank you. As we get the deck up, I will just tee this up a little bit by saying that we're going to take everyone through a significant change in our fiscal situation. The Chief Financial Officer, Heidi Son, and I are going to be co-presenting this. But before we get into it, I want to pause and just tell you a little bit about Miss Titus's classroom at Forest Ridge. I was there last week. She teaches a 3-4 blend. And in her classroom is her classroom compact, which her students wrote together at the beginning of the year. I know that's hard to read, so I will tell you what it says. In room B4, we take ownership for our actions. We will be calm and controlled. We will speak positively through interactions. We will do what is right, not what is easy. We will be good leaders. The reason that I am starting with that is because it just so happened that I was in classroom B4 on a day when I might not have inside myself been fully living up to all of these standards. And so I kind of took it with me because it was a good reminder that whether you're in 3rd grade or whether you are closing in on 50, there are times when you need to be reminded about some aspects of this compact. And tonight I'm going to do my best to live up to Miss Titus's classroom's compact. And in particular, the parts around being calm, controlled, and engaging positively through my interactions, because what I am going to tell you about and what Heidi is going to tell you about is a story of tremendous harm that has been done inadvertently, but been done to our district. And I want to be as clear as I can about that harm, but also as fair as I can about that harm. And I will check in with Ms. Titus later on and see how I did. Can you go to the next slide? I'm going to tell you a little bit about February 20th, 2026. It was, as this says, not a good day for Salem-Keizer Public Schools. On February 20th, we received information from the Oregon Department of Education that included a significant anticipated drop in our revenue. Of that drop, which is a total of 14 million, almost 10 million of it is being driven by a change in one set of data. And I will be telling you more about that tonight. I'm going to tell you about the timing, and I'm going to tell you about the ways in which this, as a piece of policy, is so gravely flawed and has been doing harm to districts, especially districts like Salem-Keizer, for over a decade. So first, just to tell you a little bit about this, what you see there on that graph and the circle around the graph is actually directly from the Census Bureau. And you see that drop inside the circle? That is what the Census Bureau data indicates happened to Salem-Keizer Public Schools, our community childhood poverty rate between 2023 and 2024. That right there, that one drop, which was released to us on February 20th, tore a $10 million hole into next year's budget. There are a few aspects of this that deserve attention, and again, just really focusing on being clear but being fair. The first is the timing. So everybody watching and most people in the audience, certainly everyone on the board knows that we spent almost a year preparing for the budget reductions that have recently happened. It's a $23 million budget reduction package, and it closed our structural deficit. In other words, it got us where we needed to be balanced and hold adequate reserves going into difficult years. 4 months we worked on this. When we received this on February 20th, it was 4 months after we had already announced the structural deficit. It was 1 month after we had shared our entire budget reduction proposal with the community, and it was about the same time that our schools were managing their way through the staffing reductions. In other words, it was gravely late to receive that kind of news. And it left us with 3 options. One is try to rush out some emergency measures like furlough days. It would have saved some money. Second option is we could have rushed out emergency additional cuts on our schools. And while that would have saved some money, it would have also unleashed enormous anxiety and uncertainty, confusion, and I think grave distraction into the remainder of our school year. Which leaves us with our only other option, which is to use our reserves to close the new gap. And that is what we chose to do. So I want to emphasize here, before I go on to some of our other concerns, that we are not proposing any additional reductions to staff. We are not asking for any concessions or any furlough days. We will be using our reserves to close this gap, and that will leave us in a more fragile condition. Heidi is going to tell you more about that. The second thing that I want to talk with you about is the measure itself. And if you can just hold on, don't go to the next slide yet. So first, the measure that Oregon uses is Census Bureau data that comes from a survey that they send every year to a few families in every community. It's sampled data. And so inside of Oregon's funding formula, you receive an additional about $3,000 for every student that's in your poverty account. So you can imagine for a district of our size, we are talking about millions of dollars in additional funding. What that means is that the way you measure poverty matters as much as the way that you pay for it. The less accurate the measure, the less appropriate it is for funding poverty. I have been, I think, as clear as I know how to be publicly, and I will be here as well. I have zero confidence zero confidence in Oregon's measure. Oregon is the only state in the country that relies exclusively on Census Bureau data. When 49 other states have chosen to do otherwise, it is incumbent upon us to ask ourselves the question, why are we the only ones? And I'm going to offer 3 possible answers for why we are the only ones and why other states do not use this measure. First, it is terribly imprecise because it is sampled. So I'm going to give you guys an example for everyone here and everyone watching. If I were to randomly choose 2 people in this audience and inquire about your family's economic condition and use those 2 answers to extrapolate everyone in this room and everyone watching this meeting's economic condition, it would be wrong. It would over-rely on those 2 people who we asked. That is, in effect, what the Census Bureau does. The problem that we have is that from a pure statistical perspective, and I am not talking here about my opinion, the way that we use this measure measures mostly random chance. Almost all of it is measurement noise. For most of the districts that experienced a poverty loss, there is not even a 50-50 chance that it measured something that actually happened in their community. And for Salem-Keizer, 2,000 students came out of our poverty count on, in effect, random chance. The second reason that I think that this is a problematic data set is that it is regressive. It would be bad enough if it were merely random. But the way that it is used in Oregon means that the poorer a community or the more rural a community, the more your poverty count is eroded. Or said in reverse, a district like Lake Oswego has a higher percentage of their kids in poverty counted than Salem-Keizer, and we have a much larger number of kids. It behaves regressively. And then finally, the Census Bureau data cannot be verified because it is a random anonymous survey. Not even the Census Bureau can verify it. And so what it means is that Oregon pulls black box information in. It's an anonymous sample, and it's 2.5 years old by the time it hits the funding formula. There is no one, including the Department of Ed, who can tell us who those 2,000 students are that were removed from our count. They literally don't know. It cannot be verified. Calm, controlled, positive in my intentions. So I want to give you a sense of part of the way that I believe that we can see the irrationality of this measure. In the year that has cost us approximately $10 million, the Department of Education's data says that we lost almost 2,000 students living in poverty. That is twice the number of students we lost from our enrollment in total. This data suggests that we are 7% of the state's enrollment, but we lost almost 40% of the entire state's childhood poverty. I do not know how that could be possible. And finally, that we had a 5% increase in the number of students receiving federal benefits like WIC and TANF at the same time that we had a 26% decrease in poverty. What we can see is the regressive and random behavior of a poorly chosen method that is multiplied over and over across multiple funds that are received by every Oregon district and appropriated by the legislature. It is a painful irony that Salem-Keizer has been one of the leading voices in talking about this as a policy issue for months, and then in February, we are the ones that are walloped by the bad bounce of random chance. And at this point, I am not asking for a miracle, nor am I suggesting that this problem can be solved. It is too late, and it is too complicated. There isn't a fix coming for us right now. But what I am saying in the spirit of Ms. Titus's classroom is that to be good leaders, we have to pay attention to what is right, not just what is easy. And this cannot continue to be a problem that is too big to solve. It has to become a problem that is too big to ignore. The reality is, I am furious that this has been going on for over a decade. I'm furious that this has been harming the already most marginalized communities in our state. And it pains me to know that we can't fix it fast. But what we need to do is a true fix, not a Band-Aid. I would take a true fix in 2 years, one that actually acknowledges the depths of the funding issues in Oregon, over something fast that creates a political win but no lasting change for our and many other communities. If you are a community with high density poverty, and if you are a rural community, it is time to close the gap on this problem. It is far too many kids who have been harmed for far too many years. Okay. And with that, I am going to now turn it over to Heidi. She is going to share more of the specifics about what this means right now and as we move into the budget cycle for Salem-Keizer.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Chair Richardson, Board of Directors, and student advisors. Although we wish that we had better story to tell and a rosier picture to show, we appreciate the time to be here and provide an update on Salem-Keizer's 5-year financial forecast for the general fund. If you can advance the slide, please. So as Andrea, as the superintendent talked about, what does this mean in terms of our plans for right now? Again, for schools in the immediate future, not much. We are not changing our planned reductions for the school year that is coming to us. For staff, not much. We are not proposing any furloughs or any other additional reductions for the year that is coming up. So that is planning efforts that we will need to do in the future. And what it does mean is that in the future, we will have more challenging reductions that we will need to make, more adjustments that we will need to make, and we will be, in the coming year, financially fragile, and we will need to use that onboarding time to move towards what that looks like for the next biennium. And go ahead and advance the slide.
I went off script. You'll have to advance just to the budget slides. I don't know who's running the deck.
If you could advance the slide. Wonderful, thank you. So this is a picture that we shared back in December that showed our $25 million structural deficit. The graph shows the actual results in millions of dollars for fiscal year 24 through 25 on the far left, and our general fund forecast in millions of dollars for the next 5 years. Starting with the year we are already in, and that is going to end on June 30. The thin blue lines on the graph indicate the biennium, and the blue lines show our actual and forecasted revenues and include the amount we expect to get from the state in the general fund. And the orange line shows our actual and forecasted expenses. That black line shows our general fund balance, which can be thought of our savings. These are our reserves. These are our rainy day funds. These are things that we maintain to adjust to unforeseen circumstances and to have healthy financial picture. In December, we shared that it's really important to maintain a level of savings for our fund balance so that we can handle unforeseen circumstances. And we also shared that we would need to implement reductions in order to close the gap between revenues and expenses. So if we can advance the slide. We talked a lot about the planning that we needed to do to get there, and we showed a picture that said that if we of what we expected to happen, what the impact of implementing recurring reductions for the next fiscal year would look like. And you can see here that by closing the gap between the forecasted expenditures and revenues in 26 and 27, and changing the trajectory of our forecasted expenses, the picture got a lot better. If you can see that line there in terms of our savings, we leveled that out, and that looked a lot better for us. And we embarked on a lot of very heavy, thoughtful work in terms of moving in that direction and making that plan a reality and being able to bring that into our budget for next year. If you can advance the slide. Unfortunately, as Andrea mentioned, in March, we received the initial revenue projections from the Oregon Department of Education in late February, and our share of the state school fund and our revenue projections for 26-27 dropped by about $14 million. The updated revenue information became available when it was too late in the budget and staffing cycle for us to adjust plans without causing a major disruption to schools and staff for the coming school year. This picture shows that despite our efforts, we will not be able to avoid dipping into our reserves for the 26-27 year. It is important to note that the further out we go on this forecast, the less certainty there is in it. So as information becomes available that helps us solidify our assumptions, we will continue to refine that forecast out in the future, and we will begin our planning efforts for what future reductions need to be. Some key information that will impact our revenue forecasts are changes in enrollment and what the governor's budget recommends for state school funding will look like in the next biennium. So that's a big piece of that pie and that look forward. What we know at this point is that revenue will drop, and that will mean that we need to look at another round of reductions and plannings for next year. It's not good news. It is fortunate that we are being thoughtful and looking ahead and that we have had able to get ahead of that curve. I think of it as a 2 steps forward, 1.5 step back process. We did planning that got us to a place where it was going to look more stable, and now we need to look at that again. We are fortunate that we can do that in the next year, but we will need to take those steps to solidify our future. So with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
I was just going to suggest if we wanted to put the slides with the visuals of what Superintendent shared, I think for anyone who wants to see, we had great slide visuals to help break that information down.
I know, it would have been a really great move to actually use the slides that I prepared. If you can, I don't know who has the deck, but I think it's the, if you go back about 2 or 3, I think it's that one. And here it's just, this is just kind of a written restatement of some of the things that I was sharing verbally.
Are there any questions?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, Director Fuller.
Thank you. When I look at the status quo, the first graph, and watch the general fund balance go down, it looks like on the far right, it ends at 20 million, or below 20 million. And then when I look at the last slide, the new revenue gap, it's even lower. And I just want to make sure that I understand why. And what I'm thinking now is it's because we identified 23, 25 million, right? The first, and then we had to add 14 million to that. So that's why our general fund ends so much lower with this reduction. Is that accurate and correct?
Well, I want to clarify one thing about this, and then I'm going to answer.
Okay.
First of all, there is no such thing as a negative ending fund balance, so you're looking at a hypothetical vision of the future.
Right.
That 27-28 number, you heard Heidi say that what this means is we will have, in almost all certainty, have to do another round of reductions next year. Mm-hmm. Because we cannot let that, you know, you see where that black line goes to 2? Mm-hmm. We cannot let that happen. And so I just offer that at first as the backdrop against your question. The real answer to your question is the reason that it changed so much is that it wasn't just a loss of $14 million once. It's a fundamental shift in our share of all of the state's money. And so when that happened, because we don't have any reason to believe that it is going to be fixed in the immediate future, we had to reset all of our revenue assumptions for the next few years based on having a smaller piece of the overall pie. And that is part of the reason that this is so hard to onboard, is that it's not a one-time hit. Until there is a fix, it is a carrying cost to the district on the revenue side.
Can I ask a follow-up question? What is we have to have so much in our reserves, right? Our budget, when we pass it, has to be within policy. So where on this graph does that happen? Where are we not able to meet?
So that's a great question, thank you. We do have policy targets that we try to remain within, and that is 7 to 12%. And the budget that we will be looking at for the next year will fall below those targets, and that's the reality. However, I will say that we operate above those targets. That is the reality. So when we budget it, we're below those targets because we budget every cost fully. Here, we are looking at a forecast, and we know that we have vacancy savings, we have other things that actually occur in our forecast, and we operate above that. And so that is where we, from a budget standpoint, we anticipate being below those targets, but we anticipate and expect that we will actually operate above those targets.
To give everyone a frame of reference, Heidi, you can correct this if it's not quite right, but I believe our monthly payroll is about 55 million. So you don't, just like you don't want to not have next month's mortgage in your bank account, you do not want to not have pay for 5,600 employees in your reserves.
I was wondering, in some of our questions outside of this, we got to hear some of the areas where money does randomly give us a positive hit from, say, ODE throughout the year. Do you want to go ahead and convey that to the public so they have a chance to hear of where areas could become positives? Does that make sense? Do you remember the?
There's usually a May adjustment, and the size of the May adjustment varies. I struggle to call it a positive hit because it's really just being paid for the students we have rather than being left unpaid for the students that we have, which is the problem we're bringing to the public today. But there is a positive May adjustment in some years. It is not guaranteed. Some districts have negative May adjustments.
Director Ortiz?
Thank you, Chair Richardson. Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. Probably, thank you for Superintendent for looking into the issue. You speak about our state doing this for 10 years, and there's something about when you're in it and you're getting your numbers, and folks in our district and other districts are so caught up, right, in that day-to-day function and keeping a district running that we trust our state agencies, we trust our legislative leaders to do what is right and to do what is best. And perhaps at some moment, 10 plus years ago, this seemed and felt, and perhaps it was the best we could do. And we're at a point right now where we have many families, thousands of families in our district and across the state who are, as you said, living in poverty and are highly impacted by the state of the economics of current day. So thank you for looking into how our districts are funded, for seeing how that impacts not only us, because I think that's what's really important. We're here as leaders for our community, but also recognizing that Oregon is our state, and that I think all of us here care about students across the state, right? When we talk about students living in poverty and students in rural communities who are disproportionately impacted,
I know I care deeply about them as well. And if there is something that we can do that will not only support our students, but will lift all boats, I'm interested in continuing to support that work and those efforts. So thank you. And I think we can work on action steps on how to actually fix this for not the short term, but the long-term sustainability of our districts and the educational opportunities and success and excellence of all students. And, you know, looking at the graph, it's hard to see. I know the rest of it it's that forecast, hey, as you said it, and I appreciate that because a lot can change between now and 29-30. But I know that looking at 26-27, that number, when you say 5% in terms of our ending fund balance, that feels scary, right? We'll sit here in a couple of weeks talking about our future budget, and that does feel scary because many things can happen, many things can go wrong. We've seen other districts be impacted by weather conditions and buildings and just things that happen during the school year that you need to pull resources for. So every dollar at that point matters when you have over 5,000 employees that need a paycheck at the end of the month. So thank you, and looking forward to continuing to advocate and collaborate to solve this issue for the long term.
Chair, if I may briefly. Ms. Titus would be proud of you. That was very well done. And I want to pull up the first part of what you said and be really clear about it. The way that we found ourselves here did not involve anyone trying to create a system that had this effect. It was a series of sequential decisions that played out over 13 years that accumulated to this effect. And as you will hear very often, hopefully in your world, certainly in ours, when we know better, we do better, and we don't linger in the past. This is now a project for the future, and I would say a rather important one for all of Oregon students, but especially for communities like ours.
Yes, Student Advisor Jolie.
Thank you for being very transparent with the information tonight. What I've come to assess is that the state really needs to change the old system. And like we have seen, this has been ineffective. And I think in the future, if we come together in ways as a community and put pressure on the state, the whole Salem-Keizer community, I believe we can make changes so that we can have more accurate data in the future. And I know it will be a long process, but like we have seen with so many things, like you said, when we do know better, when we hear from our community, when we give things a more humanitarian level, when we listen to actual real life situations instead of turning people into numbers, then we can help everyone and make things less harmful. So yeah, I appreciate what you said, but and I know we will work in the future and improve things. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for this fiscal update. I know you put a lot of time and work into this, and I just really appreciate you fighting the fight to do what's best for our students and our staff. Thank you. It is now time for public comment. As a reminder, all audience members are subject to immediate removal if you engage in abusive, threatening, vulgar, or hate speech including speech articulated on signs and clothing, which violate the district's harassment and/or every student belongs policy. Please note that we provide an opportunity for public comment by virtual call-in, in person, or in writing. Electronic mechanisms are used for translation. Each participant has 3 minutes. We have a countdown timer on screen for monitoring time. The timer counts down from 3 minutes. At 30 seconds, it turns from green to yellow. At 1 second, it turns red and plays a short bell to signal time is up. Please be mindful of your pace for our interpreters. If the board receives written comment ahead of the meeting, the written comment will be posted on the district website. Tonight, 10 people are signed up and have been selected to comment. At this time, will Aaron Satyanaran come forward? Forgive me if I mispronounced your name. In person? Dr. Dennis O'Loughlin.
From the 3 interpreters signing in the corner of the room to the classroom students signing restroom to be excused from class, sign language is all around us. More than 2 million families across 190 countries have used babysignlanguage.com to help their babies communicate before they can speak. From birth, crying is an infant's first language, proof that communication is innate. West Salem High School last year was recognized for its unified sports program. ASL also promotes inclusivity, caring, and helps prepare students for a successful life. Helen Keller once said, when asked if she would rather regain sight or hearing, my hearing, because losing hearing isolates you from people. That isolation is exactly what ASL helps prevent. A few years ago, a young woman on an Alaskan Airlines flight spent the entire trip using the ASL manual alphabet to communicate with a deaf-blind passenger so he wouldn't feel alone. That moment captures the heart of what ASL gives us, the ability to connect. Here in Oregon, 138 babies are born each year with hearing loss. Nearly 200,000 Oregonians are deaf or hard of hearing. That's enough to fill the entire city of Salem. 1 million Americans use ASL every day, and worldwide, more than 70 million people are deaf. My name is Dr. Dennis O'Loughlin, and I teach American Sign Language at West Salem High School. I am a doctor of audiology, and I am hard of hearing myself. I've spent my entire adult life fighting for the rights of and working with people who have hearing loss. ASL has been offered at West since the school opened in 2002. In 24 years, the program has helped hundreds of students and local businesses, from Safeway to MAPS Credit Union, better serve the deaf community. Once deaf customers know they can communicate in their own language, they come back again and again. One of my students recently used her ASL skills at Disneyland to help a deaf family communicate with park staff, proving that even beginning students can make a meaningful difference in society. Out of 5 foreign language classes, ASL is the second most popular language at West Salem High School, with 10% of the school's student population enrolled. Last year, my students volunteered over 100 hours at Oregon School for the Deaf and started an ASL National Honor Society. The program is vibrant, growing, and deeply valued. When I learned ASL might be cut, I was stunned. I understand budget pressures, and I offer these solutions.
Will you slow down just a little bit, please, for our interpreters? Okay. All right.
By reducing classroom costs and applying for a grant, I can save the district about $2,500 and give my students a bigger set of options for their foreign language requirements. West Salem High School is my community. I love my students and my program. On behalf of our school, our businesses, and the deaf community, I implore you to reinstate ASL at West Salem High School because communication should never be a privilege but a right shared by all. Thank you for your time. I'm going to provide you with some information about the ASL program at West. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to offer one additional clarification for everyone else who's coming up next. It is actually our Spanish translators who need it to be a little bit slower. So, sorry, you got it right there, but that's who we need to slow it down for, so thank you. Okay.
Lisa Walters. Lisa Walters. Marisol Bishara.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marisol Bashar, and I'm a sophomore at West Salem High School. I'm here today to ask you to continue the American Sign Language program at West Salem. I'd like to share a personal experience that helped show me how impactful ASL is to our community. This past Halloween, I volunteered at the American School for the Deaf's haunted house. Our group was a mix of West Salem ASL students and OSD students. I was in a group with a deaf girl who had a cochlear implant. As we worked, I was signing but struggled through multiple signs. She was incredibly patient and helped me with my mistakes. In that moment, I felt a genuine connection with her. I could see how much it meant to her that someone was taking their time and putting in their effort to learn her own language. That girl's smile stayed with me long after Halloween ended. It reminded me that for her, the world is a series of walls, but ASL is that door. I share this story today to show that connection would never been possible without the skills I learned in our ASL classroom. By cutting this class, you are creating a barrier to my success and the success of my peers. You'll be removing our ability to communicate across a gap that ASL has finally started to bridge. I am not the only one facing this hurdle. Our community will be smaller and more divided because of it too. By cutting this program, you aren't just losing a class, but locking that door and leaving the walls standing. I am here today because I want to keep that door open. Thank you for taking the time to hear my story and continue the ASL program at West Salem High School.
Luca Doninelli.
Good afternoon. My name is Lucas. Last name Doninelli. I'm a sophomore at West Salem High School. I'm here to support the ASL program.
Good evening. My name is Luca Doninelli, and I'm a sophomore at West Salem High School. I'm here tonight to speak about the American Sign Language program and why it is so important to me and so many others at West. I began my greeting tonight in ASL because I wanted to give you a small glimpse of what it feels like to not be understood or to struggle to communicate with others. For many people in the deaf community, that is an everyday reality. American Sign Language is more than just another language option. It is a language that honors a marginalized community and an entire culture. It creates access, it creates belonging, and it deserves a place in our schools. ASL has been one of the most meaningful classes I have ever taken. Through this program, I have learned more than just vocabulary words. I have learned how to communicate with people who are often overlooked. I have gained a deeper understanding of the deaf community. My classmates and I volunteered at the Oregon School for the Deaf, an experience that has reshaped how I see the world and how I treat others. Alongside my peers, I worked hard to create a chapter at West Salem, an ASL Honor Society that is nationally recognized. My hope is that it will continue to grow and expand to other schools in our district, not disappear. The possibility of eliminating ASL has deeply affected students. Many wrote letters and shared their feelings, ranging from sadness to outrage. I would like to share a few of their words with you. Andromeda Durer, a freshman, first year, shared, ASL has opened my viewpoint and expanded my knowledge of deaf people. It helps me in my day-to-day communication with my peers and family when it becomes difficult to express myself verbally. Oren Burrell, a junior second year, said, ASL allows us to connect with people who are often left out of the conversation. Both of my sisters took ASL at West, and my younger sibling has been waiting to take it. We use sign language daily in our lives. Eliminating this program would be a horrible mistake. Caitlin Duckett, a sophomore second year, wrote, ASL has been such a big part of my high school career. It has given me opportunities to learn outside of the school with real deaf people and do meaningful activities with them. I feel more connected in this class than in any other program. My teacher, Dr. O, has supported me on my hardest days and made me laugh more times than I can count. And finally, London Perrin Davis, a junior in first year, wrote, it helps so many people become interested in learning another language and provides a space to learn about deaf culture. These are not just opinions. These are real students' experiences. Many of them are here now, supporting our cause. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I respectfully ask you not to cut the ASL program. It is more than a class. It is connection, it is access, and it is culture.
Kimberly Reed Zauber, virtual.
Having an issue with the video is go ahead and have it.
Yeah, we can continue without camera. I think she's asking if we can continue without camera.
Yeah, Kimberly, I think we need to hear a little bit more of your audio. We don't need video, just to see if there's feedback.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is this any better?
Yes, that was better. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good evening, board directors, advisors. Thank you for the opportunity today. Okay. I'd like to talk to you about something that
I'm sorry, but we are unable to understand what you're saying. It's going in and out.
now.
Yes, let's try it again.
Are you using headphones, Kimberly? That might be if you want to use like computer or phone audio directly.
I am not.
Maybe what we could do is invite her to submit her comments. Submit them. Yeah, she can submit her comments to the board.
In writing.
Hmm?
She can submit in writing. I'm asking her to text me. Can I read it?
Mm-hmm.
If she sends it? Okay.
For everyone who's watching, we're trying a variety of piece together technological troubleshooting here to, one way or another, get Kimberly's testimony to the board. Maybe what it makes sense to do while we work on that is go on to the next one, and Kimberly will come back to you one way or another before we close out.
Okay,
Dana,
thank you.
Now that was real good. That was real good. You want to try it again?
Sure, I'll do that.
Oh,
That works.
Thanks for your patience. So good evening, board directors and chair, student advisors, and Superintendent Castaneda. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kimberly Reed Zauber. I use she, her pronouns. And I would like to talk to you about something that can improve student achievement without further impacting our delegate budget. And that's time. Teachers do a lot. Here's a small taste of some of the general tasks teachers do. Read and analyze to provide the curriculum when there is one. Select.
It's a connection issue.
Okay, it went out. We're going to ask you to continue to try to connect, and we'll come back to you. Dana Castano. We're ready.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Richardson, directors, and Superintendent Castaneda. My name is Dana Castano, and I am chair for the Native Education Program's Parent Advisory Committee. I have one child in the Native Education Program, and we're members of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians. Tonight, I want to highlight why culturally responsive education and staff training are essential to the success of Native students in our district. While Oregon Senate Bill 13 expanded Native history in state standards, implementation across classrooms is inconsistent. Many educators and administrators have not received training that helps them understand Indigenous history, colonization, or generational trauma. Without that understanding, it is difficult to create learning environments where Native students feel seen, respected, and supported. Training opportunities, such as the blanket exercise, give staff a deeper understanding of the experiences of Indigenous communities. These trainings help administrators and educators recognize the barriers Native students face and learn how to build classrooms that are safe, welcoming, and culturally responsive. District-wide training should not be optional if we want to improve outcomes. It's essential. In the spirit of learning, I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the history connected to Douglas McKay's namesake, or Douglas McKay High School's namesake. During his time as U.S. Secretary of the Interior, McKay oversaw the termination of more than 60 tribes in Oregon. Termination stripped tribes of federal recognition, sovereignty, and access to services like education. Although some tribes have regained recognition, the impacts of termination and other assimilation policies are still felt today in economic, health, and educational disparities. The history is not about blame, it's about understanding context, and it reminds us why programs like the Native Education Program are so important. They help repair past harms by providing culturally grounded support, strengthening identity, and ensuring Native students have the tools they need to thrive. Native students continue to face some of the highest dropout rates and some of the most significant systemic barriers in public education. Native education directly addresses these challenges by strengthening academic outcomes, building cultural awareness, and supports the well-being of Native youth. For these reasons, we respectfully ask the board to continue prioritizing fully funding the Native Education Program, including its summer programming. Doing so affirms our district's commitments to equity, to honoring federal trust and treaty responsibilities, and to ensuring that Native students can succeed academically, culturally, and personally. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rebecca Knight Alvarez. Rebecca Knight Alvarez. Megan Duran.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Megan Duran. I have 3 children in the district's Native Education Program, and I serve as the treasurer on the Native Education Program Parent Advisory Committee. Tonight, I want to express our deep appreciation for your continued support of the Native Education Program. The district serves nearly 1,700 Native American and Alaska Native students, one of the largest urban Native student populations in Oregon. More than 700 of these students are directly supported by NEP, which provides academic assistance, cultural connection, and social support that many families cannot find anywhere else. This program is not simply an enrichment opportunity. It exists because of the federal government's trust and treaty responsibilities to tribal nations. Responsibilities that extend to public schools. Tribal citizenship is not a political status. It is a racial designation. And public institutions share the obligation to support Native students' education. NEP is one of the ways our district fulfills that obligation. A major reason the program succeeds is the cultural resource facilitators. CRFs help families navigate school system, advocate for children's needs, and connect youth with higher education and other opportunities. For many families, the CRF is the bridge that makes school feel accessible and welcoming. In our own experience, NEP made a meaningful difference for my family. During times when my daughter and I felt like a cultural disconnect in meetings with her teachers, NEP staff stepped in as a knowledgeable and supportive voice. They helped ensure that our perspectives were understood and respected, while also advocating for my daughter's specific needs. Their presence brought clarity and balance and reassurance, and helped transform what felt like isolating situations into collaborative and productive conversations. The NEP Summer Program is another essential resource. It serves more than 100 Native youth each year, providing meals, transportation, swimming lessons, high school credits, cultural learning, and community connection. It addresses food insecurity, prevents learning loss, and helps students stay on track on time for graduation. These supports matter because Native students continue to face higher dropout and expulsion rates, lower high school completion, and disproportionate impacts from poverty and suicide. NEP helps close those gaps by strengthening academic outcomes, building cultural identity, and supporting the well-being of Native youth. For these reasons, we respectfully urge the board to continue prioritizing and fully funding the Native Education Program, including its highly successful and comprehensive summer program. When we invest in NEP, we invest in the success of the Native students and the health of our entire district. Thank you for your time and for your continued advocacy for all our students.
Sean Gillespie.
To the school board, Superintendent Castaneda, the rest of the district executive leadership team, and the public gathered here today, I would like to know why district administration didn't get representatives from each of the unions and non-unions months ago to discuss ways to prevent layoffs during these crazy financial times. We're classified the lowest paid, we're already getting hit the hardest. I have worked 2 full-time jobs, most of the last 11 years working for the district until last year. After my job was threatened last November, I felt I should use all of my new free time to go to all of the board budget and forecasting meetings and the State of the District event to find a solution. I'm relieved that only 5 people, I guess it's 12, will lose their jobs now, but I'm definitely not satisfied. We were finally making progress on turning back the challenges magnified by COVID, hate, oligarchy, and fascism. Finally, we had the people we needed to make good progress over each. We didn't get where we are as a nation overnight, did we? So that is why success for our students is a marathon and not a sprint. The State of the District talked about the progress we made this year, though not as much as we wanted to. So why would we punish the kids and the families, again, who need these wins and progress so badly? We could have come together with great ideas on some key goals, brought the community and small businesses in, and gone to the legislature without destroying the momentum we had built. Maybe even bring in Portland Public Schools and Eugene, both of which are dealing with some serious issues right now as well. The biggest districts and also in 3 of the biggest cities in Oregon with bigger deficits. Yes, I know the legislature was up to their eyeballs in the ODOT funding meltdown, but the Blazers got their air, didn't they? The governor can do a special session if she wants. Intel and Nike got one before. I think this is a big enough problem, do you? Education in Oregon has been grossly underfunded for as long as I can remember, about 25th in taxpayer percentage of income. Tell me again how we are a progressive state where it really matters. When we still underfund our kids' futures, even though that our teachers have to provide an average of $1,500 a year for supplies, and the federal government has to pay for 3 meals a day during the school year. The only thing liberal about this state is the distribution of lobbyist funding to both parties to cut education funding further with smoke and mirrors, allowing more charter schools, taking away health care, kidnapping vital good people in this community, and destroying our farmers while giving mega tax cuts to the mega rich and corporations. The Citizens United decision rides strong while the American dream is stolen from 95% of Oregon. Have you seen actual class sizes for K through 2? Yeah, heck, K through 12. Try getting 18 to 22 third graders to all learn to read and write, or get 35 to 40 freshmen to learn about US history in one classroom. Helping 15 to 21% of our most challenged school population get a decent education when the state only provides enough money for 11%. That's a considerable amount of underfunding right now. Thank you, please help.
Brian Zaba Reed.
He's not virtual, I think.
Is he virtual?
No.
Colin Box.
Good evening, Chair, Superintendent, members of the board, student advisors. My name is Colin Box. I'm the Executive Director of Capital Football Club. I'm President of the Salem Youth Sports Alliance. And as a board member, I serve as a board member of the Salem Area Sports Commission. I'm here today representing a broad cross-section of the youth sports community across Salem. I want to express my strong support for the board's direction to move forward with a bond feasibility study based on the long-range facility plan recommendations, including the consideration of turf fields. Across our organizations, we collectively serve thousands of young people in this community. At Capital Football Club alone, we serve over 7,500 kids each year, nearly half of whom come from families living at or below the poverty level. For many of these kids, school and community-based sports programs are not just extracurricular, they're essential pathways to belonging, health, and opportunity. However, the reality we face is that our current facilities are not keeping pace with the needs of our growing community. We see it every day. Limited field availability, overuse of existing grass fields, frequent cancellations due to weather, and inequitable access to quality playing surfaces. That's why I want to specifically highlight the importance of including athletic field upgrades, particularly turf fields, as a part of any future bond considerations. Turf fields are not a luxury. They're a practical, high-impact solution that is necessary in our climate. They dramatically increase usable hours, provide consistent and safe playing conditions year-round, and ensure that schools and community programs can serve more students more equitably. When we invest in these types of facilities, we're not just investing in sports. We're investing in student health and well-being, academic engagement through extracurricular connection, and safer, more reliable environments for our youth. Finally, I would respectfully encourage the board to include representation from the youth sports community in any stakeholder groups or task forces that are formed as part of this process. There's significant on-the-ground experience within our community that can help ensure these investments are both strategic and impactful for students across the district. We share a common goal: to create environments where every young person in Salem has the opportunity to thrive. Facilities are a critical part of making that vision a reality. Thank you for your time and your leadership and your consideration.
Do we have Kimberly Reed Zauber back online? Okay.
She dialed in, I thought. Is she dialed in?
I think we can call on her chair if you guys can see her availability. Okay.
Virtual? Is she on?
I'm on.
Please proceed.
All right. I have to get back to my notes. Good evening, board directors and chair, student advisors, and Superintendent Castaneda. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kimberly Reed Zauber. I use she, her pronouns. I'd like to talk to you about something to improve student achievement without further impacting our delegate budget, and that is time. Teachers do a lot. Here's a small taste of some of the general tasks we do. Read and analyze the curriculum, there is one. Select supplementary texts and materials to meet the needs of students. Collaborate with other teachers to improve skills across subjects. Maintain school tracking systems for academic conduct. Score and report assessments. Hold parent conferences, meetings, and phone calls. Organize supplies and equipment, and on and on. A single day's task list might look something like this. Prepare or modify the day's teaching materials, which is extra for those who teach more than one subject. Gather and set out activity supplies, grade assignments for 40 students, enter grades in gradebook, send off for next week, create digital notebook pages for students who need those, post assignments and instructions on Canvas, write a referral, return 2 parent calls, write good news postcards for 3 students, restock the sticker bucket, print student assignments for self-evaluation, update late work reviews in the gradebook, check that Chromebooks are all present and charging, meet with PLC to finalize plans for common assessment, and of course, teach. So all of that could be 3 hours of work. We have one prep period, about 40 minutes before and after school, except for late start. We get an extra hour in the morning. So 90-ish minutes of work time, an average day about student for 6 hours of work. But there's more. Every other late start Wednesday, we lose the additional hour to meeting for PE, which may or may not be relevant to specific work. On some of the remaining Wednesdays, we still lose the hour to additional. On Tuesdays, we have no morning work time due to district-wide mandatory PLC meeting, when we are finishing our meeting mere minutes before students arrive. So for that same task list, we only get an hour if our prep is that long, if we don't have to attend an IEP, and if we don't have to sub for a colleague during our prep. That task list grows every year, but our work does not. This year, it has shrunk considerably with the addition of those Tuesday PLC. Do you want student activity to improve, scores to go up? Let us work. Let us plan, prepare, assess, and adjust. We are professionals who love our work, and I promise you that even if we don't have mandatory PLC where we can be supervised, we will still do those things. Board directors, the one thing can improve instruction and student outcomes costs nothing. Give us back our work time and trust that the professionals you hired will do their job. Thank you.
I want to thank all commenters for their comments this evening. Thank you very much. At this time, we will take a 10-minute break. Please return at 7:40. Next on our agenda is the adoption of the long-range facilities plan. As a reminder, the board heard a first reading regarding the long-range facilities plan report at the March board meeting. Chief Odenthal and Director Smallwood, is there anything else to add?
Thank you, Chair Richardson, directors, student advisors, Superintendent Castaneda. We're privileged to be with you tonight, and thank you again, and we appreciate the time. Just a few notes on the report you have today. You have the long-range facility plan, and it's total tonight, all 380-some plus pages of light reading that we gave you. And so I want to take some time to recognize the work that has gone into this. This is, I think it says, our report, we said over a year. It's really about 2 years worth of work. And it's a lot of folks that helped bring this together. First, I want to recognize Brick Architecture. We have Elisa Warner and Dan Hess with us tonight that have been with us through this process. They're in the back there. Yep, okay, great. And Elisa especially, I think she dotted every I in that report to make sure it's right. So they've been a great team, and we really appreciate brick architecture. McKinstry as well worked with us on the condition assessments of our buildings and did a great job in a lot of the data you see in there around the mechanical systems. Also, we had our task force members that work with us, and like to recognize Michael Elliott and Pastor Ronnie Brooks that came to join us tonight, as well as Chair Richardson and Director Harnish that went through the entire task force process with us. Great group of the community that came together to make this a reality. And then also on our staff, lots of folks contributed, but I want to recognize, of course, Joel, who gets all the hard questions tonight. But then also Stephanie Stonebrink and Kyle Beatty that did a lot of work to put this together through the whole process. With that, and also I'd say we also, with the input of this report, we talked to every principal across the district a few years back, and we re-engaged with them all over the last few weeks putting that together. We've talked to athletic directors, we've talked to music teachers, we've been through with our folks in the SPED classrooms and those pieces to make sure we capture all those requirements together. And so again, we were with you in March when we presented the task force recommendations, and tonight we're back with the full report, and which, again, we're here asking for you to allow us to move into bond, to accept the report, and to move into our bond feasibility study. And I'm going to turn it over to Joel, and he's going to quickly touch on the makeup of the report that's in front of you, as well as when we're asking to move to bond feasibility, what that means.
All right, thank you, and thank you everybody for your time and letting us come in this evening. So the major sections of the report, in case you haven't gotten all the way through it, are really around facilities condition assessments. That's a big piece of it and a big piece of the work that we have facing us in the future. Educational adequacy assessments, school capacity analysis and enrollment projections, figuring out how full our buildings are now and how full they will be. And then, of course, a district-wide capital improvement plan. That plan is largely driven out of those facilities condition and educational adequacy assessments. So it's a lot of reading. There's a lot there. There are, for those of you who really want to read, there are tens of thousands of pages of backup data in the facilities condition assessment especially. And so there's a lot of information that, of course, is not included directly. It's in there as appendices to that. So the bond feasibility study that we're asking you to send us off into really involves hiring some consultants to work with us, but pulling together community groups as well. So we'll be looking to hire a primary consultant to lead a highly engaged public process to go through that long-range facilities plan and apply it to our schools, to apply the findings in there, to apply the site viability framework that's in there, to look at all of our buildings and especially around our capacity enrollment issues. We expect this group to have to pull together a large group of internal and external stakeholders, and ultimately that group will be pulling together scenarios, coming up with different ideas, and we'll be talking to the community through this whole process. We'll have communication specialists working with us, as well as our own communications department and a lot of others, talking to the community about this, talking about the different ideas and scenarios, and we'll be doing some professional polling throughout that process to gauge public support for those different scenarios, to write the district as far as our long-range planning process goes. Current timeline for this work, just so obviously no date has been set for a potential bond election. However, the process that we've set in the motion will put us into a place where if the community is willing and the board approves it, we will be prepared for a March of 2020, May. May of 2027 ballot title. So we'll be ready for that if everybody else is.
Thanks, Joel. No special election in March. We'll wait for May. As Joel said, over the next in that time frame, we will be developing several different scenarios about how to address the needs of the district, and through that time narrowing that down to what we believe is the best choice for our community, for our school needs as well. And with that, again, thank you for the time. Our recommendations there, we're recommending the board to accept the report and then move us into bond feasibility.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the long-range facilities plan and direct staff to engage in a bond feasibility study as presented?
I'm sorry.
She asked a question.
She did, I'm sorry.
No, there's a discussion after.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
Yes, Chair. I would like to make a motion to accept the long-range facilities plan and direct staff to engage in a bond feasibility study as presented.
Thank you, Director Harnish. Is there a second?
I do.
Director Parker seconds it. At this time, I'll open the floor for a discussion.
Yeah.
Director Fuller.
Thank you. Hi, and thank you for being here tonight. I just, I want to ask, in past, I know this cycles, right? Every so many years. Is it typical to hire a consultant for the things you're talking about?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Oh, thank you. That was my question. That was it.
Hi. I'm sorry. I always have to ask the hard questions. Last time when we were on that topic, Mel, I think we were trying to figure out a number of what that might cost. Today, it sounds like that comes in a ball of other things, not just one consultant, but a group. And so I was wondering if you have an approximate number on that. I know it feels a little tougher and tighter to make this decision, knowing it's inevitable to give the option to the public eventually. I just wonder, with the extra things falling into our laps these days, if maybe, I don't know, we look at pushing it back or something different. So just, I'll let you answer on the ballpark number if you found it.
Yeah, thank you. So, the consultants we'll hire, there's a technical consultant that helps us on the engineering side. There's also the communications and polling that we do with the community that are consultants we need outside. Our kind of ballpark number, and it's estimates at this time, but at the high end is we think it's in the $750,000 range for the consultants we will need across the entire time.
Yeah.
And we believe that to be a conservative number.
And
I also want to clarify a small portion of that number, Paul. And Joel, I believe that in the event that there is a successful approval, a portion of that is reimbursable. Is that right?
That's correct. Not all of it, but there's the portions of it that would be considered capitalizable and tied to the more technical aspects. We can, in the language of the bond, we can reimburse that back.
Mm-hmm. Once the bond, if it passes.
Yeah, if it passes, yes, correct.
So, because the other thing I was thinking, that's all at once up front, right? Or those, as far as that bill goes. It would be over the course of how many months would we be needing to put that $750,000 ballpark number out?
It'll be in the course and up until the election time in May of 27. So it'll be across the, little piece in this fiscal year and then into next.
Okay. Thank you. I guess that's it. I was thinking about separating the votes, but
I don't have any questions, but I just want to acknowledge the team for all of the work. I've said it before here. I've been a part of the facilities task force planning in the previous bond, and was part of the bond and did all the things. And it's just probably one of the most gratifying things I have done in my volunteer life with Salem-Keizer. And your team just knocks it out of the park. Brett Consulting also, all of the teams that you have working on this project, it is such a professional endeavor, and I've always felt like everything is coming to us, and it is a whole lot of information to bring to the community and get it to make sense. And you all have done that yet again, and I really appreciate that. And as part of that, it is also very gratifying to think about our creating the environments that we really want and need for our kids. For academic excellence to really be achieved, our environments have to follow suit. And you know, it sometimes feels really challenging in these environments when we're talking about all these budgetary things, and we have to keep holding firm on what we want for our children and our community, and this work, I think, is foundational to that. And I also want to recognize the public comment here today. It was really great to have somebody coming to talk at public comment about the importance of this, and it's really that building that sense of community and from sports and all the pieces that offers into a culture of well-being. So just want to say thank you all.
I think it's worth adding, additionally, just so you know, I do feel that way. Regardless of my questions, I feel that it's responsible of me to ask. And with this current news, I am for letting the public choose to whether they want the bond. I know it means so much, and especially when you're up close and personal with all the schools and sustainability. But then when sometimes from another aspect, sustainability doesn't seem so realistic sometimes, then it starts making me look deeper at that. So thanks for allowing me grace to not be offended by, honestly, we all see, yes, your hard work. So thank you. Bless you.
Director Fuller.
Before you say it like that,
I said Director Fuller.
I just want to say, as someone who's new to the board, I don't get to say that very much longer, right? Get my first year in, but I just want to say, when I was looking at the document, I was like, oh my gosh, it was really intimidating, but it was so well written and so put together, and all the I's were dotted, and it was fluid. It was just thank you. I feel like after reading the whole thing, which I did, that I really understand it, and so thank you for that hard work that you put in. Thank you.
Director Hudson.
Yes, thank you. One more. What would it look like if we were to ever discuss pushing this piece out further at this point? We'd be able to just, I know everyone's thinking, what, daggers? But maybe naive question. To me, it seems like maybe we'd just hit pause and then maybe push it out another year and then go after this same plan. What can you just, I know that's, I don't know what pops into your mind right away when I say that, but what can you do for?
Well, it's a great question, and we no offense, your question about the cost it's a great question and needs to be asked and understood by the board, and we appreciate that. What we have could, it's still good a year from now if we push this out a year or 2 years. What changes across the issue across our district is, logically, our buildings get another year older, and we have issues to address in our buildings that we will be waiting to address, whether that's our enrollment issues and our decisions around consolidation of schools, some of the conditions that, some of our systems, we flirt with catastrophic failure in some of our systems. And I'm not talking about the school falling on children and that sort of thing, but, we have mechanical systems that are far beyond the end of their life. That could fail, and one of those things we fight is that I've been proud in my career in K-12 and higher education is that I've never had to close a facility and miss a school day because of the condition of the building as well. But we flirt with that all the time, and so could it wait? Yes. It just raises our risk on some of our most critical things that we do for our students.
Comprehend that, and I think automatically, quickly, of course, of the tech building with the water situation, for example, because that would affect everything. But again, so these funds come from there. We're getting ready to sell properties, which would go in a specific fund. Otherwise, these repairs would come out of general fund. Or wouldn't they come from those, the sale bucket?
Which repairs?
If we did have a catastrophe, if we, before a bond and we had where would those monies come from?
I think I need to hear maybe the next part of your question to answer the first part.
So say worst case, and I know we're not all gonna vote on that, and it's fine. I just really would like to talk about this. Again, I very much appreciate all of you. Say we pushed it out a year, say we had a building catastrophe. What pocket of funds from the district would those monies come from? Not the general fund, right?
Well, we do have designated facilities funds. And I think part of what you're hearing from Paul and Joel is that while we reserve funding there for issues like related to maintenance or surprises, it is the capital bond that funds our long-term ability to keep our buildings dry, warm, safe, usable. There isn't a long-term solution with Gen Fund. And so the reason I wanted to know the end of your question is I think maybe where you're headed is, if we delay a year, do we have enough money in the event of an emergency?
Because are we still functioning as of today for such things from prior bond?
No, the prior bond is functionally exhausted.
That's what I understood. So then I understood that if we had an issue, say the mandate to repair all the lights. So I thought that came from a bucket that wasn't typically the general fund. It was more like our savings fund, which now we just had to spend to cover the 14. No. So isn't that question any clearer? So if we, so if tomorrow we had to do a repair and come up with funds to fix it because we couldn't get away from it, which, did you say for certain that wouldn't come from general fund, or it could come?
It depends very much on the nature of the issue. So for example, Medford Public Schools had a roof collapse. Well, insurance covered the largest portion of that issue. So I just don't think I can fully answer the question in a generalized way. We do have some money that we use in a capital fund that is not bond funded for maintenance and general repairs. And that is where, when we sell a building, that's where we would put the proceeds from that building into that fund.
Thank you. Maybe you said that. That was the answer I was looking for.
We talk about a catastrophic failure. It's not just financial. I mean, my larger concern is that if we have a boiler system go down and we can't heat a building, then Joel and I are looking for a solution to move the children out of that school for 90 days while we wait on the parts and the supplies to repair that system, or a major piece of losing a building for that time. That's my larger concern than the actual funds repair, is what we would lose in the education of our students.
Like a COVID thing, right? So we have to come up with other funding to help that, but I get it. So I appreciate at least the discussion.
Yeah.
Hope others do too. So thank you guys.
I also,
No, I'm keeping us on time.
Good. I also want to thank the team for a job well done. It was just really interesting to show up at meetings and to hear all of the collaboration and deliberations about all of the different items on the agenda. It was really, really awesome. David Hughes, I see you sitting back there. I want to thank you too.
He brought the snacks. He brought the snacks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. But it was really a great learning experience, and I think the Salem-Keizer is in a great place to have people like you who truly, truly care and truly, truly do everything you can possibly do to present to us what we need in order to make the best decisions that we need to make to keep our district operating well. So, all those in favor of accepting the long-range facilities plan and directing staff to engage in a bond feasibility study as presented, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
I think it was pretty terms.
All opposed? Abstain?
Oh, yes, no, I was voting with aye, sorry.
Oh, okay, so it's unanimous. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the adoption of the curriculum materials presented as a first reading regarding at the March board meeting. Deputy Superintendent Neves or Director Jesperson, is there any additional information you'd like to add?
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Richardson, members of the board, Superintendent Castaneda, and student advisors. I don't think there's additional information to add. Would you like a recap of what we went over last month, or do you have the information that you need and you just would like to ask questions?
I'll do the motion and then we'll have discussion. Does that work? Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the curriculum materials as presented? Director Fuller?
Yes.
Do I have a second? Director Harnish. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion. So any discussion? Wow.
I'm scared to hear.
Okay. Director Parker?
I really didn't have a question, but I did like the fact that when you went over last month talking about all teachers is going to be standardized for every class, every school is going to be the same curriculum. So if one child goes from south, then they go to north, they'll be able to stay on their same level of doing the same homework. I really appreciate it. I think that's a great idea. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Fuller.
Yeah, I just want to say that I went to a couple of the meetings where teachers were, whittling down the choices, and it was really, they were so excited about these curriculums, and it makes me excited as a board member. So thank you for just the whole process, engaging the teachers in it, giving them a chance to give feedback and choose their own. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Hudson. Director Ortiz.
Thank you. I wasn't here last month, so I'm going to make my comments now, which is mostly just gratitude to the admin and just the team that pulls together and coordinates the, the piloting, but to all of the educators, all of the teachers that volunteered their time to pilot these two different curriculums. I can't imagine how much additional work that is, because you're having to learn and then you're having to collaborate, and then they were also, as I understand, and kind of like building a team, right? Like encouraging others to participate, and that I think just speaks, and I had an opportunity as well walking outside of the meeting that Director Fuller is referencing, to speak to an educator who was just so excited, right? And I think that's where a lot of, and most of these our piloting teachers were, just excitement at the opportunity of not only having new curriculum, but having aligned curriculum. And I think that is just so meaningful. It excites me. I don't know if you saw me, but I was dancing as you were coming up, because we've been talking about this curriculum adoption for quite a while now, and it feels really good to be at this place. I know that implementation will come with its bumps, its own little challenges. It's going to be a growth curve for many of us, but I'm just so thankful for every single person who has contributed their time to explore, pilot, and come to consensus about a curriculum to bring forward for us to hopefully adopt tonight.
I've had plenty of text messages and emails over the last few days, knowing that tonight was going to be a decision, and thinking about our elementary literacy pilot teachers. There's over 70 that extended over our district, and there's, to your point, hats off to them. They put in a tremendous amount of time and energy, adjusted what they typically do to do these both of these pilots. Same thing with high school math as well. Just a tremendous amount of participation. So it's been great. So thank you.
All those in favor of adopting the curriculum materials as presented, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. And thank you very much for all of your work.
Appreciate it.
My baby. Bless his heart. Okay, stop him. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the Executive Limitation 6 Staff Evaluation Revisions as presented to the board in March. Superintendent Castaneda, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Nothing new, but just a reminder that this is a round of mostly clerical revisions that really just get rid of language that is historical and not really useful anymore, and then just create some symmetry between the staff evaluation requirements across all job groups.
Do I have a motion to approve the revisions to Executive Limitation 6 Staff Evaluation as presented?
I'd like to make the motion, Chair.
The motion has been made by Director Ortiz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Director Harnish. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion. There seems to be no discussion. All those in favor of approving the revisions to Executive Limitation 6 Staff Evaluation as presented, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. Now we get to appoint our student advisors. The final item in our action items portion of the agenda is the appointment of up to 2 student advisors to the school board for the 26-27 year. The board application process was open March 9th through April 6th, and we received a total of 2 applications. Please welcome Alexander Diaz and Jolie McMahon.
Welcome.
The board reviewed all applications and video submissions and will now vote. Since our policies state that the board can vote for up to 2 student advisors to the school board, I'd like to ask if there is a motion to approve both student advisors that applied. Is there a motion? Thank you, Director Parker. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Director Harnish. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. At this time, I'll open the floor for discussion.
Well, I'd just like to say something about both of you, because I know, first I'll start with Alexander. Hi. He's been at I think almost every cabinet meeting and equity meeting. Just an incredible part of our community. I'm sad I'm not going to be here when you're on the board. And then Jolie, again, it's been a wonderful year, and I think you'll make you'll stay an incredible addition to this board.
Yes.
So Alex, I don't know you yet, but I can't wait to work with you. I really loved reading your application, and you are clearly invested in making the district even better than it already is. And I just felt your passion as I was reviewing your application. So looking forward to working with you. And Jolie, I was so excited to learn that you are just a junior this year, to be honest with you. I thought you were a senior. And so when I was like, wait a second, do we have another Jolie McMahon in Salem-Keizer? Maybe we do, but we don't. It is only you. And I have to say, I have just really enjoyed watching you in this role and seeing your leadership, not only here on the dais, but more importantly in the community, and on your work with the advisory committee. Watching you at the legislature was nothing short of sheer joy for me. So thank you for all that you have done to make our district better. Thank you.
Director Ortiz.
I'm going to be very brief. I echo everything Director Harnish said. I want to say to Alexander, it was so interesting because I remember coming out to you emailed about the McKay Community Breakfast. I think you had emailed me a couple months before about another event. I wasn't able to make it. And I approached down the hallway and go, "Hi, Mr. Director." And I can't remember if it was there or it was another event at McKay. And I went, "Oh my gosh, who's this? Like, I'm supposed to know them, but I don't know them." And he said to me, "I emailed you, a couple weeks ago." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I know." And then Director Harnish walks down. Maybe it was the state of the district. He goes, "Oh, there's another one." And I was just impressed by how you knew our faces and you were just keeping a tab on directors walking by. And you just have this energy and just desire to do and to learn. And I've observed that from you. And this is probably the second time I see you in person, or third, but also of course in your materials. So thanks for applying. And then Jolie, as a junior, I gotta say that you are the first person, since I've been on the board, but I believe since we've had student advisors, to apply for a second term. So that is pretty exciting. And I think that just says to your commitment to the district and to students across the district, in addition to everything that Director Harnish already said. So I'm excited to work with both of you. You look at me like that, and I don't know.
I'm like, give it up.
I just want to say, Jolie, I'm really happy to work with you another year. Alex, I'm excited to meet you. I see your responsible adult in the back. Is that your dad?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry. I thought it was.
It's okay.
I just want to say welcome. I'm really excited. And Jackson, I'm going to miss the chicken nugget shirt. It's my favorite. Thank you for being here for the year. I'm sure we'll have a chance at a later time to say our thank yous, but I just wanted to acknowledge you as well tonight.
Alexander, I just want to say I saw you in action at the McKay Community Breakfast, and you were running things. I think you could have been the principal for the day. Yes. I wanted to congratulate you, and I'm looking forward to working closer with you, and thank you for applying, and I think you'll do an awesome job. Jolie, I too was like, is this another Jolie, or who is this? I thought you were a senior too. I'm sorry. I guess it's because we've always had seniors.
Senior vibes.
Yeah, you have senior vibes. And observing you at the legislature was the highlight of your work for me, to have that type of maturity and to be able to address a situation that you felt strongly about and to share your feelings with the legislature. I said, you go, girl. Great things are going to happen as a result of you and the work that you're doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, all those in favor of appointing Alexander Diaz and Jolie McMahon as our student advisors to the board for the 26-27 school year, raise your hand and say aye. 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 It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the first reading for resolution number 2025-26-05, Supplemental Plan for Approval of Transportation Costs. Director Crockett, the floor is all yours.
Good evening, Chair Richardson, members of the board, student advisors, and Superintendent Castaneda. For the record, my name is TJ Crockett. I'm the Director of Transportation and Fleet Services here at the school district. So before you tonight is the first reading of a resolution to adopt an updated supplemental plan for transportation. As a little background, the Oregon Revised Statutes require school districts to provide transportation to elementary students who live more than a mile from school and secondary students who live more than a mile and a half from school. All transportation that we provide under that mandate is also reimbursed to us at a rate of 70% through the transportation grant of the state school fund. In a supplemental plan, school districts identify areas where additional students require transportation within those prescribed limits due to health or safety reasons. Once identified under the supplemental plan, two things happen. One, we're legally mandated to provide that transportation, and two, that transportation is also reimbursed at the 70%. The update that you have today impacts two schools, Brush College and Air Elementary Schools. Both are seeing a reduction in their hazardous areas due to increased pedestrian facility upgrades in those areas. This is a semi-regular thing before the board. The last one was adopted in 2024 for similar reasons at other schools. And of course, we'll bring this back next month for adoption, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have for me tonight.
Are there any questions? We want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
For your report this evening. Superintendent Castaneda, do you wish to provide further review of any item listed on the consent calendar?
I do not.
Is there a motion to approve our consent calendar? Director Parker, is there a second? Director Hudson? I don't think we discussed. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. 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 It's unanimous for the consent calendar. Budget meeting calendar. As a reminder, everything in the information standard reports section is provided for the board's review ahead of the meeting. Superintendent, do you have anything to add?
I have two brief things to add. One is that, as we all know, we are right on the edge of budget season. So on May 5th, we will be kicking off the budget process with the full budget committee. So there'll be 16 of you crowded behind this dais. It'll be a very full house. And then the other is to just let the board know that in all likelihood, we will be canceling our April work session. So that's the one on the 28th. It's very close to the budget address, and we will soon be going into a period where we have a lot of meetings.
Thank you very much. If there's no objection, we will forego our board reports this evening. No objections? Okay. This meeting is adjourned. It's 8:19.